Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here to bring you a new episode of Off the Spinner Rack. Today I am diving into Conan the Barbarian, the Battle of the Blackstone. This is the first event miniseries that they've got going on here from Conan. This is really great. I really love this Battle of the Blackstone event. For that, there was a free comic book day issue of Battle of the Blackstone. It's a beautiful little issue here. I love it. Again, I was able to get one without any kind of sticker here. I can't wait to meet some of the Conan artists at upcoming Comic Cons and stuff, so that I can hopefully get a little sketch of Conan or something here. But I'm really excited about this. This was really great. So it starts out, kind of gives you a little introduction to some of the characters of what you're going to be, of who we're going to be hanging out with here in Battle of the Blackstone. Then we get the Savage Sword of Conan. What is going on here? Then we get the Savage Sword of Conan, which is another lovely book here. The Savage Sword of Conan stuff is awesome. It's all magazine size. It's all black and white on the inside. It's beautiful. I love this stuff. I was so excited when Chris told us about the Savage Sword that was coming down the line and everything. Savage Sword did run all of 2024 basically, and it ran every other month, so they ran 6 issues for it. But issue 4 here is Battle of the Blackstone, and it dives into stories about each one of the characters here. And so I really loved it. And then you get your 4 issues here of the event itself. Now, the events in the free comic book day comic here, this first one here, it's labeled actually, if you look here, if you look right here in this black little portion here, it shows actually very faintly a 00, which I thought was pretty neat, of this is a 0 issue for this event. And then so anyhow, I just wanted to point that out. We get an introduction to James Allison, who's a writer staring at a blank page at a typewriter. We see Conan in battle near the border of Konajahara, and the border of Konajahara is being contested. Conan sees a sigil on a picked soldier, and it unlocks all of these Conan adventures that we had seen going on in the previous ongoing comic, Conan comic of Conan, issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that was really awesome. Then we get a few brief introductions to Solomon Kane. Solomon Kane, if you were following the Savage Sword of Conan previous, the Savage Sword of Conan issue 1, 2, and 3 has a part 1, 2, and 3 story of Solomon Kane in there. So those are really great. That was really nice, kind of getting to know Solomon Kane through that ongoing story there. We get Dark Agnes of De Chastillon. We get Elboric, and we get Professor John Kirwan. And this is basically how the end of the free comic book day issue kind of ends. As we get into the Savage Sword of Conan, it's also, Savage Sword of Conan number 4 is tied really neatly and nicely to the free comic book day, as each one of these characters here that we see on this cover, I actually love this cover because it's that Usual Suspects kind of thing. They're all up in an interrogation, getting their criminal photos or whatever taken, and I just love it. But this 4th issue here of Savage Sword ties nicely to the free comic book day, as again, this Savage Sword is a single story that kind of sets up where each character is at the start of issue 1 of the Battle of the Blackstone event. So the Conan story is Birthright in Black. It's written by Jim Zub, also the current still ongoing writer of the Conan ongoing series. Art by Fernando DeGino. We got letters by Richard Starkings of Comicscraft and Tyler Smith. And this one is kind of like a transformation of Conan. He has like a fight with like monkey men, and like it seems to be like a fever dream for him and stuff. And so it's a really kind of wild tale of Conan. Actually, it was really cool. I really liked it. It was really different than what we were used to for the ongoing stuff that we saw. Now for the second story we get, it's all about Solomon Kane. It's called Blood from a Stone. Story and art by Patrick Zurcher. Patrick wrote the Solomon Kane stories in Savage Sword of Conan 1, 2, and 3 previous to this. We get the letters by Rich Starkings and Tyler Smith of Comicscraft. Solomon Kane and his crew are trying to make an escape through the jungle. They're being chased. They make it to like a cliffside, and at the top of the cliff is a forest, and they're going to try and get up that cliff and into the forest to take cover for the night. They get some attackers in the morning. One is there's an unholy one like called Fourth. This captain needs like some ritual ceremony kind of starts happening, and then you see like almost something out of like Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones, like a heart is ripped out of the chest, and it gets gnarly. So that's the Solomon Kane story. Then we get a story about Brissa, written by Jim Zub. We get art by Dean Kotz. Richard Starkings and Tyler Smith of Comicscraft are doing the letters. This was a great little story of Brissa here. It's called Ever and Never Beyond. And it was an awesome little thing to see if you had, for whatever reason, missed out on any of the Brissa and Conan kind of story previously. It kind of went through those first few issues of where we see Conan and Brissa kind of get into that Blackstone originally in Volume 1. And it shows the after effects of what happens, because you don't see her after the Blackstone collapses, and the Cimmerians that Brissa saved and took to safety tell him that Brissa went back into that Blackstone when it collapsed. So she has been presumed dead for a long time now, up until that Free Comic Book Day, issue 00 of the Battle of the Blackstone event, and you see Brissa come back to James Alliston. That's where you see him. Like that's where you see her kind of pop up at the end there, and you're like, whoa, she's alive? And then we see her come back here, and we see this story, and it fills in all of the blanks of what happened from that Volume 1 to what we saw in the Free Comic Book Day, and it was so cool. It was great. Then the next story we get for new characters really that we haven't seen is Professor John Carowin. We've got John Conrad and John Carowin. Their story is called Horror from the Tomb. It's written by Jeffrey Shanks, who was doing all of the essays for, the Free Comic Book Day issues and the ongoing Conan comics. Jeffrey, Chris kind of described Jeffrey in our interview as a real life Indiana Jones. He's an archaeologist and does all these kind of things. And I gotta say, I love all of Jeffrey Shanks' essays at the end of each issue. They're always really cool, interesting, and full of knowledge that I didn't have previously. So that's always cool. I always love that. And then this story, though, really kind of felt like almost kind of like an Indiana Jones adventure. It really did. And the story, and if it didn't if it didn't feel like for you, if you read this, you reader at home, if this story doesn't feel like an Indiana Jones story, it also really felt like Brendan Fraser's Mummy. And I really feel those two are really great adventures. Like, obviously, everybody knows Indiana Jones. I don't know. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser was one of the biggest movies 25 years ago for me when I was growing up. I hope it still is in the ether of the world for other people and adventures and swords and sandals kind of battle and swashbuckling kind of adventures like that. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser is a great one. And so this story here of Professor, John Kerwin and John Conrad really, really gave you that kind of like adventure type feel. And so I really hope that was Mr. Shanks. I really hope that was your intent, because if that was, you nailed it. The next story we get is Dark Agnes, and it's called Matrimony. It's written by Fred Kennedy, art by Andy Bellanger, and again, letters by Rich Starkings, and comic craft Tyler Smith. This was a really cool intro to a character that I had never heard of. Dark Agnes, no idea who she was until the Free Comic Book Day, but we got a better understanding of who she was here, and that was really awesome. The art just felt specifically in the Savage Sword story. The art really felt from Andy really felt like manga and like an anime influence. And I want to be clear, that's not a knock on it at all. I loved it. It wasn't a style I was really expecting in this, and that's kind of one of the things that made me almost love it more, was because it was something that I wasn't expecting. And I was like, oh my god, this is so sweet. So the Dark Agnes story was great. The art felt very manga anime kind of inspired, which is always a nice change of pace. It also kind of reminded me of the bride from Kill Bill in a lot of ways, of like her character and kind of things that were going on. So like I really liked all of that. Then our final story for Savage Sword of Conan #4 is Francis Xavier Gordon, aka L. Boric. And this his story is called Black Oasis. It's written by Ron Mars. Mike Perkins did the art, who I've had the pleasure of meeting Mike Perkins previously. I've got a bunch of my comics and stuff signed by him. Mike is a great guy, so it was really awesome to see Mike Perkins come here. We've got the letters again by Richard Starkings and Tyler Smith of Comics Craft. This was another great story that felt very similar to Indiana Jones and that Mummy and that kind of like old sword and sandal kind of adventure. Elborak kind of saves a kid, and that almost makes me lean more towards Indy and the idea of like Temple of Doom. It kind of had that feel to this story. And they're Elborak and saves a kid. They're fighting in some like underground like kind of tomb kind of thing, and there is a chase, and there's a big attack, and Boric is able to hold off everybody and defend him and the kid, and then the kid is able to be returned back to his family, his people and stuff. And that is the end of Savage Sword of Conan #4 for Battle of the Blackstone. Now we move into the ongoing series itself, Battle of the Blackstone, issue 1. Bam, right here. Right here is also the reading list of Conan. On the back of here, we will make sure that we toss this up kind of at the beginning and at the end of this for you guys. But yeah, this is the ongoing reading list for Conan up until this point, past the Battle of the Blackstone. So yeah, these are all great. This is the first issue though, and in this issue we get a lot of great stuff. We meet John Conrad and John Kerwin. It opens up in Chicago. I love that. Chicago 1936. We had previously seen that in the Free Comic Book Day issue and Savage Sword of Conan issue #4. Conrad and Kerwin are meeting with an older older Xavier Francis Gordon, who looks way older than the last time we saw him in the Free Comic Book Day, and Savage Sword of Conan #4. They are there to discuss a glyph, an image. It is the Blackstone sigil. The same thing that we saw Conan in the Free Comic Book Day, story, kind of like see and be like on the Pick Soldier and be like, whoa. We cut to Conan, who's at Fort Tusclan. We're in the Hyborian Age. They defeated some Picts, the events that we kind of saw in that Free Comic Book Day issue, and soldiers are celebrating. Conan is Conan kind of gets like this challenge. A red rage takes over, and Valinus, their like leader, who Conan is like kind of like fighting with and stuff, calls no harm is to come to Conan after this fight. Conan does sneak out searching for answers about that sigil he saw from the Pick, that sign. We cut to James Allison. We get more insights about him from the Free Comic Book Day events. He's an author, writer. He's in Texas, 1936. So James Allison now, John Conrad, John Carowin, and Xavier Francis Gordon, those 4 people are all in the same year in different states, Illinois, Chicago, and James Allison's down there in Texas, but it's still 1936. So all of them are roughly in the same era and stuff, is for lack of a better word. After that, we get our introduction into Agnes de Chastillon, France, 1522. She just killed a man. He was a bandit, but she doesn't know necessarily how she got there. It's kind of like one of those, well, what happened? And she kind of can't answer that. She doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know how to answer that or anything. So she starts kind of looking on how'd she get there, and then she finds a sign, that sigil, the Blackstone. Solomon Kane is in Africa, 1584. So he's about 60 years after Agnes. She could still technically be alive at that point, which is interesting. Solomon Kane seems to be like a Protestant of some kind, like a pilgrim almost. He's got this pagan staff that's bringing him to the mark of the devil. Then we get a cut back and forth between Gordon, Carowin, Conrad, James Allison. This is all great stuff. I like this story, this style of storytelling of kind of jumping between people, places, and stuff like that. It really feels kind of like montage-y, and that you're kind of like it really feels like a ramp up, building up and whatnot, and you kind of see that almost in like heist movies, or like big war movies, or fight movies, or like infiltrating movies. Not necessarily a heist, but trying to infiltrate a place. Like you get the setup, the team build up of like, you're seeing like, all right, I'm gonna do this and you're gonna do that. One of the things that I find it really funny is the show Community kind of makes fun of montages that way, with like Abed, and he's always changing. He's just typing at a computer doing stuff, and he's always changing clothes and whatnot. It's very funny. But this back and forth here between all of them does have that montage feel of like, we're getting ready to go. Let's go. This is starting to ramp up. We're getting there. So I love that. And like I said, I feel like you could tend to see that a little bit more in film, but it works so well here. The Blackstone starts singing to like Gordon, like in Gordon's case, and a green light shoots out through Allison. James Allison himself, Conan, is running through the forest, finds Picts at the opening, at the mouth of the Blackstone opening. The Picts are taken out by like a huge loud scream. James Allison appears in pieces. It's really something out of like Watchmen style of like Dr. Manhattan coming together. You just see these kind of pieces come together and whatnot. There's these crazy screams. The scream is actually heard throughout time. And it's these screams and James Allison that ends up chaining these heroes to this nightmare bathed in black. We get a gunslinger in the Wild East, and that is from Jeffrey Shanks, and that is another standalone story, or another story of Francis Xavier Gordon, and it's great. This first issue of Battle of the Blackstone was wild stuff. It's so good. It's so amazing. I just love it. Okay, so the second issue of the Battle of the Blackstone event is equally as cool. Check out this cover right here. Rob De La Torre doing Solomon Kane and Conan. We got, their little like sword battle going on here. I just love it. I just love this so much. It's so good. It's just amazing. I love that cover. It's just great. I love the swampland of it. It just looks beautiful. Now with this one, we get we open with James Allison's like Spectre, kind of talking to all the members throughout time. The main focus is on America, 1936. They all ask questions of Allison. They're all marked, hunted for this Blackstone beast, aka an Eldrick, which was released. We saw the Eldrick last in the Savage Sword of Conan, number 4, Solomon Kane story. The Battle of the Blackstone, or the Blackstone Beast, the BSB, is fighting Gordon, Kerwin, Conrad. Brisha shows up, tries to lend a hand and help him out. The BSB is fight or flight response. When it sees Brissa's like pick spear that that beast has been fighting for a while, the beast disappears. Then Allison's Spectre, appears, and sends all to Conan in the Hyborian Age. As the Conan crew assembles, Conan and Brissa are reunited, and they haven't been reunited since Volume 1, Issue 3 of the Conan ongoing series. Now, at this point in the ongoing Conan series, we're somewhere in issue 10 or 12, so it has been a long time since Conan and Brissa have known each other, known if either one was alive or anything like that. So this has just been great. I have just absolutely dug this so much. And so the team is assembled. Conan and Brissa are reunited. Solomon Kane and Conan brawl, kind of like what we see on the cover there. And Kerwin stops the fight. Gordon's in bad shape. In 1919, the Beast in the past now is hunting Gordon and kills him. Then in the now, with everybody else in the Hyborian Age, he is ripped apart in real time, and they all see it happen. It is brutal, but awesome. Brutal, but great. And Brissa asks a simple question of the group. Flee or fight? Flee or fight? And Brissa and the rest head into the mountain to the opening, and they fight. And we see Conan and the Picts are there. We move into issue 3 of Battle of the Blackstone now. Now, issue 3 is wonderful. I actually love this Scott Campbell cover here. It's so good. It's just amazing. I love the like simplicity of it, but it also looks kind of like a watercolor almost of it. I don't know. I just really like this cover. I remember when I saw this cover, and it like this was actually what my local comic shop, Alternate Reality, picked for me. This cover, just handed it to me, and I gotta say, dude knew right. Tim, owner and operator of Alternate Reality, knew exactly the cover to give me. Love this cover. Issue 3, we're in the jungles of West Congoria, or I'm sorry, Konajahara. My bad. That was bad. The jungles of West Konajahara. Brissa and Conan are, continue to kind of catch up. Kane and Agnes don't really trust anybody else, but since they both speak French, they trust each other a little bit more than the other people in their crew, which is fair, I guess, in that sort of sense. And Conrad and Carowin, they're taking notes. They're taking notes, while other one is notes or death, basically. They're either going to be taking all the notes or they're going to be killed, and that's kind of what they're doing. We see a Blackstone in a tree. Conrad wants to examine the Blackstone in the tree. The Blackstone takes control, puts the Blackstone like through his hand there. Conan cuts off Conrad's arm, and the beast is summoned by Agnes. And Agnes stays, fights, and dies. The others retreat and regroup in the jungle. They continue through the jungle, and then Brissa collapses, and Conan is gone. And that is the end of the 3rd issue. Wow. Why isn't that working right? Okay. Now, the Battle of the Blackstone. The 4th and final issue. Here's this lovely cover right here. Another beautiful cover. All of the Conan covers have just been amazing. Again, I want to show you the reading list so far, because if you're trying to catch up, this will show you exactly what you need in terms of what to read in the order in which you should read it. And now, back to issue 4, the finale of the first Conan the Barbarian event, the Battle of the Blackstone. We are in the jungles now, with Conan apparently seems to be dead. Carowin remembers this ritual, stabs out an eye. They all join hands. Kane is very reluctant to do this like pagan, non-kind of Christian ritual here. And then Conan bursts to life. Carowin has this new like kind of let's call it like third eye sight, basically. And they continue through the jungle, through and through, and they find a Blackstone altar. Here we go. It is time for the Battle of the Blackstone. Conan and crew are fighting. Swords, spears, ghosts, gunfire. It's all happening. It's all awesome, and these splash pages are beautiful. Kane is a distraction to the monster. Conan gives the killing blow on the monster, while Brissa gives the killing blow to the altar. The beast and altar are destroyed. Now, seemingly things come back to a normalcy. Gordon, Carowin, and Conrad are talking about the symbol. Gordon truly has no memory of anything. Agnes, we're back to the events of that dead man from Savage Sword of Conan for her. Agnes does not kill that man. Kane is actually able to finish his prayer. Conan returns to Fort Tuscallan. Brissa, along with James Allison, as her spirit spear. He kind of lives in like the stone head of her spear now. Talk of a Shumagorath, a being awoken. Shumagorath is a deity-like creature, thing, entity in Conan lore. Has tentacles and is extra dimensional, and that is the conclusion of Battle of the Blackstone. I am JimmE with the Triple C Collective. I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you all stay safe. Please like and subscribe to our video and to our channel, and thanks for joining.
Nice.